Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thanks for doing this. It's nice meeting you and learning a bit about what you do in your journey. Let me just start off by asking, is that an Elysis Andromeda
Yes,
behind you? It is.
it is.
That's one of my favorite synths. I've never played it, but I just every time I've heard it, love the sound of it.
Yes, it's incredible. I had the chance to buy one when the price weren't so crazy. So yes, I'm lucky.
Yeah. When did you get that?
Over 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very, very nice. You have a lot of analog synthy stuff back there. We'll get back to that later, but it's a nice backdrop. So yeah, I mean, as we talked about on the email, the agenda is really to go through your life a bit as a whole. How you ended up making music and how you're doing the stuff that you were doing today. And quite importantly, how you actually made it, happen, going from like an interest into actually turning it into a profession. But to those of you listening and watching, just to give people an idea of what you actually do, you're a composer for video games and also film, and you're a music producer and a sound designer. And in addition to that, you're also a harpist. Is that a term? Or is it a harp player?
In French, you say harpist, but in English, I think it's harp player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go with harpist then.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't have a French pronunciation, but we'll go with that.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. So actually, I've heard that harp players are a very, very rare breed, like hopefully not a dying breed, but a super, super rare to have like a top level harpist. Is that true? Or what is you have a better understanding of this? Like how many are out there, and what does the scene look like for harpists in terms of numbers?
I think it's very diverse. Like you mean you can, most of our professional art player plays classical stuff, but there is also a rock scene, an electrical harp scene. This one behind me it's an electric harp, so you can play with guitar pedals. There is I 10 years ago I worked also with MIDI harp. So yes, it's you. I mean, you can play whatever kind of music you want with harp. There is also a jazz harpist. Very difficult to play, but it's yeah, you can play jazz also. So no, the scene is quite enjoyable. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. I think I heard like a few years ago that at least in Finland, it's super hard to get a professional harp player. I think at one point I heard that there was literally one that you could basically hire to do your stuff, but that was quite a long time ago. So hopefully that has revivified now. But does your harp has an audio output? Is that like a jack output or?
Yeah, in fact, it's like it's there is one pickup microphone per string, and so
Wow.
the harp is divided in three parts. So you have the heights, the mediums, the bass, and also there is a pickup on the beneath the soundboard. So you can have there is a four jack outputs on it. And
Oh, okay, I see.
the main interest is there is no feedback on scene with with this. You can play like an electric guitar, and there is no feedback when you play on stage. So it's very convenient, very powerful. The bass are fantastic, and yes, it's a very good instrument.
Yeah, I can imagine that it would be very difficult to mic a harp. Well, the miking isn't the problem, but all the other noises, and it is quite a delicate instrument. So you would get a lot of bleed coming in through the mic.
Yeah, I used to before I had that one. I used a classical harp with just a pickup microphone on it, and I used to play with a drummer, and it was terrible because all the drum sound came to the soundboard, and then being re-amplified by the pickup mic, and it was awful.
I can imagine, but that's pretty cool. You have like a multi-output harp, and then you can. Do you find that when you is it difficult to mix that, or like obviously when you play a harp, there's the sound experience of what it sounds like, but now you have these multi-outputs. Is it very simple to get a balance that represents the actual sound of it, or?
It's a different sound than the acoustic sound. The acoustic sound is very, very nice, but very thin. So in studio I use both, but mainly the acoustic sound. And on stage the acoustic sound is not possible, so I use the pickup microphones, and the sound is like yeah, the pickup sound. It's more very, very upfront, very precise, but it lacks some air. But the bass, the lower part of the instrument is so huge, is like because it's metal strings, and I mean it's like sometimes I play, I believe it's analog bass synthesizer. There is a lot of sub, a lot of it's actually it's an incredible sound for the bass. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I really like to use for bass sounds is the Rhodes piano, and I find that if you take that and take it through a bunch of signal processing, like just some kind of an overdrive or distortion, that gives you a massive bass sound. And what you're describing here, I can imagine is probably, well, it's a different instrument, but similar in the sense that it can really help you create massive and different types of bass sounds. And also the harp it's a very pure tone, so I can imagine the bass is super big once it hits.
And the attack of the sound is very, very neat. So it's not blurred or something like this, but you have to muffle the strings to play it tight. So it's it needs you have to have the right technique, the playing technique to play with the bass. You have to muffle it, otherwise it resonates too much, and
can get out of control too quickly. And also when you pluck the transients, you probably have to control them very carefully so that you don't get too much of a transient peak. I would imagine.
But cool. With guitar pedals it's fine.
Nice. And I guess for the lack of air, I guess with a good enough reverb you could emulate some of that. Do you have a go-to reverb pedal for that, or?
Actually I have evented space for my live rig, but yeah, it can be whatever. Yeah, it's not. I use mostly plate reverbs for the harp, but it can, or room reverb. It's okay too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine it's probably the plate gives you like a nice, airy, light enough response that isn't completely full spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I did have a question regarding the harp, but it passed me by, so maybe it will come back to me. We'll look back to that. But if we start with just your background overall, I mean, you're in Paris now, in France. Is that where you were born, or?
No, I'm not in Paris.
Oh.
I live in Angoulême. It's like it's near Bordeaux. It's south of middle south of France. I maybe you know cognac.
Yeah.
Cognac is the drinking liquor, and I live about 40 minutes from Cognac. So Angoulême is a small town and is well known for his comic festival. And actually, it's at the end of the month. Each in the end of January, there is a big comic festival, and authors from all over the world comes to this festival. Yeah.
Nice. And is this where you were born, or?
Yeah.
So born and raised.
Yeah. And after that, I quit for my studies. I went to south of France, to Marseille, and also I lived 3 years in Paris also. And at that time, I met Amplitude Studio at that time when I worked in Paris. But it was more than 10 years ago.
Yeah, cool. So when you were growing up, did you have like a musical background? Did your parents was it a musical family you were in? Was music supported or creativity supported overall? What was the sort of general background from a family perspective?
My mother was a painter. She was an artist, and they were both teacher. And I think my father would have loved to learn music, but unfortunately he cannot. But now he's old, and he start to learn music at 75.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
never
nice.
Too late.
Yeah, and he start to sing, and in a choir, and yeah, it's very good for him. Yeah, for myself, I my parents were very nice parents, and they're very open-minded. And so when I was 7, I start to play the harp. So I went to music school in Angoulême. Maybe I start at 5 or 6, and then I pick this instrument, mainly because I don't remember exactly why I choose the harp, because it's more like a girlish instrument, but I remember that piano and violin was too crowd. It was too much people in this course. So yeah, I choose the harp, maybe because I saw on a TV show. I saw one on a TV show, or I don't remember, in fact. And yeah, I started like with the Celtic harp, the small one. And then I stayed in the conservatory for maybe 20 years or something like this. Yeah.
And did you love the harp straight away when you started playing it, or did it take some time before you
Yeah.
started?
Yeah, as a kid, it's very easy to learn new stuff, but I never had it. I have no difficulties to play every day, and I mean, for the harp, maybe you have to play for 5 or 6 years when you are a kid in order to play some little stuff, and you have to the technique is quite difficult, in fact, with the harp, but yeah, it's every instrument is the same. You have to play every day to learn it, and yeah, when I was a teenager, it was more difficult to keep playing. But yeah, I continue over the time. So yeah, it's very it was very enjoyable, but difficult also.
Yeah. Did you you mentioned during the teenage years, was that just due to, growing up and finding other interests as well? Did it sort of slump because of that, or was there another reason?
Yeah, there is the main thing. The main thing is the in the conservatory at that time, the learning you have to learn classical music, and there is only classical music. It was in the 90s, so there was not. Now you know in the conservatory you have modern music learnings, like you have a jazz band, a rock band. You can learn modern music in conservatory, but at that time there was not nothing like that. So I get tired of my teacher, my art teacher, because she was very mean to me, and she makes me cry because she wants me to become a professional, and so I have to play in Paris to do I don't know the word, to do challenges, with other people who play, and you have prize, and yeah, like you have to work a lot yeah. Classical music is very difficult path for people who like me, who just like to do music. But at that time I wasn't good enough to play classical stuff perfectly. When I was on stage, I make always mistakes. It was like it never. Yeah, it was not my stuff to play classical tunes very perfectly with straightly, and so I want to quit at that time because it was it was not my interest, and I was also in a high school, and the high school was very challenging for me to too much stuff at the same time. But my parents were very clever at that time, because they offer me a bass guitar, because I had at that time I played in a rock band. All my schoolmates were playing in rock band. It was the raising of emo core music like Rage Against the Machine, Korn, and we were totally in hardcore music at that time. And it was in France it was also the beginning of hip hop music. It was like in 1994, 95, 93, 90, yeah, and the beginning of electronic music also, with Aphex Twin, Plaid, and it was a very and at that time we were so impressed by all these type of sounds. Then playing classical stuff, it was not interesting at all, because there was all these very appealing style of music who are starting to rise in our environment. So yeah, I want to quit the harp at that time, but yeah, my parents give me a bass guitar, and they said to me, yeah, keep the harp, but here you go, you can play in rock bands. So I learned bass guitar also, so I play the bass quite a lot at that time, and so I didn't quit, but I have so I had my final
exam,
yes, in Harp, and it's not the professional exam. It was the most more easy exam, and I had it in when I was 19, and at that time, one day I put off my sheet music, and I start to improvise on the harp, and like I did on the bass, because I already did naturally on bass. I found some riff. I found some idea with my bands. So, but I never tried on harp, because for me harp was for classical stuff, and that's all. And when I understand that I can improvise on the harp, it was like I was blown away. You know, I was like, okay, it's my stuff.
did you start to see it like as a new instrument, like a
Yes.
completely different instrument?
Yes, and it changed completely my way of thinking about music in general. It means that for me it was not exercises anymore. It was not like playing perfectly anymore. So yeah, I can enjoy playing just for myself, just to make some recordings. Also, I start to record myself at that time, and work with for films, because at that time I was also thinking about having a job, not in music. So I want to make movies. So I tried to play harp on my friend's student film. So yeah, it was like I don't know how to say, beginning a new thing. Yes, it's a renewal. Yeah, it was very important at that time to change my mind about how I can play music.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, it sounds like there was an artist underneath who wanted to do his own thing, and you were sort of perhaps constrained by the classical training path. But despite the negative experiences or emotions regarding the classical training path, now in hindsight, if you had to give it credit or give it its due, what would you say was the most positive thing about doing that, despite not being so excited about it, at least at
Yeah.
that stage?
I think the conservatory was very nice. It was like, yeah, there was goods and bad things, but the good things is I mean, I can read music. I can read orchestrations. I can I can hear. I have a classical background, which is very important to me. I understand lots of technical music stuff thanks to the conservatory. So yes, it's been very important to me to learn all that stuff. But at the end, I think I don't hear the name of the notes. I just I think I compose with my finger. It's very. I have to play the music. It's not in my mind. It's only improvisation and playing with my finger. I never wake up in the night with a strong melody and say, "Oh, this is the best melody I ever did." No, I have to play it. Otherwise, I don't hear in my mind. So making music with other students, making music in a choir, singing and all that stuff were very important. And after that, I made some jazz studies too. So it's very important for me to have that classical and jazz background, and also composition background also. But it's not the main point to me. It's the main point is know how to play and to play instruments. I love to work with directly on the instruments.
Yeah. No, I understand. It's very, very similar for me as well. Quickly touching on you growing up, just to get an idea of where you sort of came from and from what angle. What were you like as a kid overall? Were you sort of more extroverted or introverted, or what was the sort of the general? What was your temperament and personality like?
When I was very young, I was very happy. We live in the countryside. We have I have I enjoy a lot of biking, a lot of bicycle, and at that time it was very like it's like a heaven, very very easy to live and starting to play music, and very simple way of life. With my mother was doing very large paintings. So we lived in kind of working with old paintings everywhere, and it was like very artistic place. And then when we moved in town when I was 10, I start to go to middle school. And then I was more shy, more introvert introvert teenager. I have a difficult period in my life because it's like all the teenager, it's like you reject some stuff. So at that time we hate techno music. We didn't like it a lot. We want just to do hardcore music, very tough stuff, like and very hardcore hip hop also. So we was a little bit hungry at that time. Very as a lot of teenager. And so music at that time was more like throw your energy. We have to throw our energy and play very loud and it was fun, but also a little bit, I don't know how to say, but we are also stupid.
As tends to be the case with in that age. But it sounds like you had a good outlet for the anger and for the perhaps less constructive emotions, and it's often is the case that music is a great outlet. Another would probably be something physical like a sport or something, but obviously that doesn't express all of the same things in terms of emotions. But cool. Is that was there a point, because it sounds like you always had creativity, you always had music in your life to some degree. Was it always clear to you that you wanted to have a career in music, or was there a point in time when that thought sort of came to you, or was it more of a gradual kind of a thing?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. So when I was in high school, when I was, I think, 17, you have to think about your career, and I learned also. I was in a scientific high school path, so I chose mathematics and physics. So I was quite good in science also. So the conservatory and the music was very hard at that time for me, because I understand that I cannot have a classical musician career, because it was too difficult to play perfectly, as I said before. So I choose to have. I start to enjoy also microphones and play with recorders and playing with sound in general. So at that time, I said to myself, let's do a sound engineer career, because it's close to music. But I know that I cannot live with I cannot have money with music. I cannot it cannot be my career, because it is too difficult, and I'm not a classical guy. So so at that time I start to have a sound engineer course. So I start after the high school. I went in a special school for sound engineering, and I make 2 years of working for with lots of technical stuff, lots of and this course was for mainly to work on television. So and also to work for movies like boom operator or sound engineer for on the radio. You can so I made 2 years of this school, and then after that I made 2 other years in I think it's I don't know how to say, it's superior stuff, and until my 20. I quit the school when I was 23. And so I learned only technical stuff, technical sound engineering for 2 years. And then after that, I went in a more artistic school. And then we made movies with other students. We film, we record sounds, and at that time I start to do lots of field recording. I enjoy a lot to record birds and find places, to record the sea, to record all kind of stuff. And but in my mind at that time, I wasn't good enough to have a musical career. But I also continue to record music in my spare time. During all the holidays, I invite friends, and we record some stuff. Like we improvise, recording, doing some layering of different instruments. We never play in the same time, but let's say I record a harp riff, then my friend with a drum player come to my place. I record the drums, and then I met a horn player. Okay, great, come play the horn. And at that time, we just record anyone who comes to my place, and with a musician, I record it. It was very, very fun, and but it was kind of a hobby. I did just for myself, and at that time we made three albums with that. It's like kind of semi-professional stuff, because it like we have 3 CDs at the end, very well done, and the thing is, I record for one all the summer holiday. Maybe I record all my friends for 2 months, and then I spend 1 year of post-production and editing, and so I did it on my spare time. And at that time, I have the very important meeting in my life. It was a French composer. I was in Marseille for my studies, and I met this French composer, which is a very contemporary music composer, very, very weird stuff, very it's type of music when you put some garbage in your piano and play with this, and making totally weird stuff.
Who was the composer?
Sorry?
Who was the composer?
I don't remember. I don't remember his name, but it's like I think he's not known at all. It's like his name was Rollin, but I don't remember his first name. and this guy had a listen to my I do an editing job for my schoolwork. How to explain? It was we were with dancers. There were some dancers and there was musicians all over the place. And my job was to record all the musicians, but with a boom pole. I pick some clarinet, then I pick some drums. That I am doing multi miking stuff, and all the musicians were working in the place, and the musician and the dancer also. So there is a very improvisation between the dancers and the musicians, and I was in the middle of that and recording all the what's going on, and then after that I made an editing of all that material, and I make a musical piece. And when this composer listened to that, he said to me that I'm a composer. Yeah, you are a composer. And this guy, it was the first time I heard that I can be a composer. So yeah, it changed my life at that time, because I said to me, okay, I'm capable of doing this. So I can manage to make a musical career more and more. So I continue to record my friends. I continue to produce my own CDs, my own albums, and I had an issue with my health at that time, so I have to come back to Angoulême, and I have to have a pause in my life because I have health issues when I was 24, and then I go to the video game school, and so this was another start in my life, because I quit somehow. I quit the movie, the movie, all the I start to do interactive stuff after that in the video game school. So this one this was a shift in my studies when I was 24.
Yeah, it's super interesting how a single person with a single sentence can make you think about something completely differently. Like he gave you basically sometimes it feels like people can give you permission to do something. Obviously, sometimes it's like a realization. And what you said sounds like you just never thought of it, like you didn't consider it.
It's not exactly this. It's more like I know that I can do music, but as I don't hear the notes in my mind, I cannot do the classical composition school, because when you learn harmony and contrepoint, it's like you have to hear what you write on the, and I am not capable of that. So when I went to these courses, I cannot stay in, because I am not capable of doing this. So I was saying to myself, you are not a composer because you don't hear the notes in your mind.
Yeah.
Because in my when I was younger in the conservatory, I have some friends. When they heard a note, oh, it's a C, oh, it's a D, oh, it's a E. I for myself, I cannot do that. So I was very jealous of them, and also I say to myself, you cannot be a composer if you don't hear the notes. But when I was in Marseille in my high school studies, I start to learn contemporary music, like Ligeti,
counterpoint.
Stockhausen, like Xenakis, all music. You don't have to. It's just a feeling about its textures. It's like very difficult to hear music, but and I start to do this. And so in that time, I start to write sheet music with writing with a pencil. I mean, and I start to hear what I'm writing, but it's not the notes which were important. It was more the flow and the textures and so I made some pieces with a small orchestra, with improvisation, with very texture music. So and then after that, I start to say to myself, I'm not so bad because I can do also a very pop rock stuff, very simple with simple chords, and I was good at that also. So yeah, why not?
Yeah. Is that you mentioned you went to the video game school? I presume that was for music, or was that for just other aspects of video game development? Or
at that time, it was a very new. It was a very new opportunity, a new school. So no, it's much more on the sound design aspect. It's not at all composition. It's not music at all. But you learn how to put music in the game with middlewares. And at that time, I work on several student projects, and I did music and also a bit of sound design. So yeah, I meet other students, and just after the school, some of them were building video game studios, and so they hire me to do the music. But it was not my main job, because just after the school, there is Angoulême is known for the comics and also for animation. Animation is very strong in this town. There is lots of animation studios and lots of cartoon movies and lots of Funlets feature film, and yeah, it's very known for that. And at that time, there was the first post-production facilities for audio who came in Angoulême, and then so when I quit the school at 26, they hire me for doing sound design for animation movie. And so I work for 7 years in doing sound design and mixing. So I learn a lot in this industry, because when you get out of the school, you don't know, you don't have a proper job. Yeah, you just trying stuff, but you don't know how to work very properly, have a proper work. So I learned at that time. I spend 8 hours a day on Pro Tools and learn sound design and multi-channel mixing. And the job was very, very interesting. We have a Foley artist, so we record a Foley artist, and we record a lot of field recording also on our own. So we take bird sounds, lots of, and we put that sound in the cartoon movies. Because at that time the soundbox, commercial soundbox there was sound IDs, very old soundbox, and the sound were really bad, in fact. So we record lot of stuff by ourselves, and so we work on animation series. So I mean, for example, we have 52 episodes of 13 minutes, and we have 2 days per episode to do all the sound design. So we have to be very quick, very. It was intensive, very very challenging also, because we have to work very fast, and so I did this job for 7 years, and at the same time I make some music for video games, and so I ask a part-time for I had a part-time between sound design for animation movies and music for video games. And I work on several games on Nintendo DS. It was there was a it's like you remember maybe WarioWare. It's like lots of mini games, and at that time all the games were like this, with a little pen, like playing, and lots of mini games. So it was cheap to produce. So lots of studios were doing that stuff. So I start to make music for that kind of game. Very bad game. Very, I think the game were awful. I start to work in interactive media. It was cool also, but the game was not so good.
Yeah, pretty fast. Touching on the aspect of working fast, was that difficult for you? Like, are you innately a perfectionist? And if it was tough for you, how did you sort of mentally or practically manage to produce the work that fast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very interesting question. So before I get in the industry, I want to be perfect. Okay, it's like my album. It's not perfectly mixed, but I did my best. It's I spent 1 year to edit the track. I spent months to mix, and it was like everything has to be perfect. Okay, and when I did the students project, I was in this type of mind. Yeah, I have to be perfect. And then when I get in the industry, the guy who was my boss, in fact, the sound engineer, the senior sound engineer who I was working with, he said to me, "It's good enough for people who listen on the TV." He meant on TV. When you listen on TV, the speakers are very small, you are in your kitchen and children are going run everywhere. There is noises. The dog is barking, and you are listening to your cartoon movie on this kind of environment. So all the sound you made, they mean to be efficient. Yeah. So you have to do your job properly. So for us, it was very important to record our own stuff because we want still to be perfect. We want still to enjoy our stuff. Otherwise, you put on the same sound everywhere, and it's like yeah, it's just it's not. Sound is our passion, so we want to be enjoyable. So yeah, we put a lot of efforts to record our own foley, our own atmospheres, but at the end, people will never notice. Never. They don't give a shit about what this explosion. For example, you spend 3 days to make this explosion, but at the end, people will listen on a small speaker, and it's like yeah, it's not for big theater, it's just for television. So we have to work efficiently. So yeah, this guy said to me, "It's good enough. Yeah, the job is done. It's good. You heard the voice while mixing. Also, when you mix, you have to hear the voice. It's the most important. Music and all sound design is important, but the kind of cartoon movies, they speak. There is always a speech everywhere, so you have to understand the voice. It's the most important. The other stuff, it's not so important. So at that time, I learned to get the job done, not spending too much time, and get happy with this. And people are happy also around. The job is good. The job is good enough. And so, yeah, it was very important. This way of thinking. It's a passion, but it's a job also.
Yeah. And what was your sort of obviously you had all kinds of projects of, sounds like gradual sort of level throughout these years, growing slowly. What was the first project you did where you really felt like you not necessarily made it in a sense of achieving success, but what was the sort of a kind of a bigger break moment for you? Like, was it a video game project or something else? And when did that happen?
Obviously, if it's the first Endless Space, but it was later. It was in 2012. This is a turnaround in my career, working with Amplitude. But before that, I said my third album with all my friends and student stuff. I think my third album is an achievement because it's like the composition are very nice, and also the second one. Those albums were the 3 albums was yeah, you said that raising in quality, raising in composition, and so I'm very proud of this early composition stuff. And then in sound design, I'm very yeah, I made a full-length movie and also a kind of yeah animation series I am proud of my sound design in this. And in DS game, I made a game for Ubisoft with a small studio, and the game was a very a girly game, dance, yeah, it's a yeah, I don't know how to say, but it's like you have to push on button in the right rhythm, you know, to have actions on, and there is a girl with dancing.
Yeah,
And
like
this
a
game,
rhythm dance game.
yeah, rhythm dance game, and for me, it was the first time I did very. I came from contemporary music, and this was totally like there is a disco song, a rock, a pop rock song. There is a very, yes, you know, very uh, uh, I don't know how to say. Yeah, pop stuff. So so this one I'm proud of, because the song, the music was nice, and it was the first time I use analog synth. So it's also a turning point, because for this video game I was struggling with myself to do a tectonic tune. Like I don't know how to produce like you know like a
Yeah,
very techno stuff. And I went to a second hand shop, and I saw this one, the Roland GX3P. It's like 100 euros. So yeah, I give it a try, and I was blown away by the sound, and I made the track right away with the right instrument. And yeah, when you push the one key, the oh, okay, it's that, it's like it's the right sound.
nice,
So I start to collect analog synth at that time. Yeah.
nice. Maybe just to sort of wrap up the kind of the progression aspect of your life into music. I have this theory that I reoccurringly ask about from guests on this podcast, and the theory is that creatives who get into it's my Siri thinking my watch thinks I'm talking to. Yeah, the theory is that creatives manage to take something from their childhood into their adult life. Like they retain something, open-mindedness, but they retain the connection to the creativity, to the spark of that. Do you think that's something that applied to you? And if so, how did you manage to keep that flame alive? How did you manage to retain that connection to the creativity?
Yeah, you're perfectly true. Yes, it's yeah. For me, it's like when I was I grew up with Nintendo stuff. When I was 10, it's the time of Nintendo Entertainment System. And then just in 92, 93, it was the Super NES. And I discovered the JRPG stuff at that time.
Which
And
ones?
sorry?
Which games?
Yeah, it's this poster just above my head is Chrono Trigger.
Nice.
Yes, and I also have this one. Yeah.
Yes, Final Fantasy VI. Nice.
Final Fantasy VI. So yeah, those two, and with Secret of Mana. These 3 games makes me. It was like it's in French it's called chef-d'œuvre. It's like it's a very, very important game, important way of thinking about the music. And when I remember when I start to play to Secret of Mana, just the main theme in the menu, I was almost crying. So this feeling of have an adventure, of have this very kind of neoclassical music. It was very, very important in my teenage years, and so I kept those, and they are still with me here. And I kept these games with me, and it's like I think it's like
so video games helped
and
keep that connection.
also it's like playing Lego. When you play Lego as a child, when you came to have I have two children now, so I kept my own Lego, my old Lego, and now I'm playing with my kids with the same Lego. So it's like it's very enjoyable, and you have this kind of melancholy of and I like this. Yeah.
What age are your kids now?
3 and 5.
Nice. I'm still that's ahead of me. We have one kid so far, and he's just under a year and a half. So no Legos for him yet, because he'll probably just eat them. But we have these mega blocks, which he's playing with for now. But I was huge on Legos. Like I doubt probably anybody has played with Legos as much as I have. Like it's a huge part of my childhood, and I think massively because you have the same blocks around, but you're building different things, which is really what creativity is about. You have a limited set of things, and you're building new things and thinking about what you can do and maybe what you should do. But it's a fantastic toy, if you can even call it like a single toy, but just a creative playground. But yeah, it's that's probably for me one of the single biggest contributors. And I feel like when I'm writing music, for me it's very similar as playing with Legos is. It's kind of you're building. I think about music kind of like architecture in time almost, and constructing Legos. It's very similar to how I at least think I write think about music. So
it's true. Yeah, actually, I play with Lego for 4 months now. I rediscover from my basement in September, and I have lots of space Lego from the 80s. It was my favorite.
Nice.
And I have that fantastic monorail. It's a train, and it's like in space train. And this one is when I rediscover it, I was like, wow, incredible.
Yeah, it's really intensive nostalgia.
Yeah.
When you see them.
It was so good.
Cool. Talking about inspiration overall, obviously you touched on a few bands earlier, but before we go into that, beyond music, are there things that inspire you overall, and where do you where do you tend to pull inspiration from, in terms of non-musical sources?
Non-musical sources. Yeah, I think yeah, field recording is a thing. It's like a music with the sound of nature. So this is very important because I love to find places where there is almost no human noise, which is very, very difficult, because even if you get to the higher mountain, there is always planes, always a guy who's cutting his wood or anything else. It's very, and when we had this with COVID-19, the COVID, yeah,
COVID, yeah.
the COVID. With the COVID, we have no noise at all for several weeks, and then I put my microphone, I engaged in the forest and record stuff. It was like amazing. 2 hours of birds recording without a single human noise. It was like, yeah, it was very, very, very cool. And also, yeah, I'm doing martial arts also, like Aikido. Meditation.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm yeah, my parents were Buddhists. Yeah, kind of. So I take the same path. I yeah, I go to a Buddhist place called Plum Village. It's like Thich Nhat Hanh is like it's a Vietnamese monk, and it's like Zen Buddhism. So yes, this spiritual stuff is it's important, and also, yeah, all kind of martial arts, I think. Yeah, because staying on a chair in front of a computer, it's very hard. So yes, I have to have yeah, physical training also to keep my body strong enough to stay on a chair.
Yeah, it's surprisingly hard to sit for long times.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of you. If we go into artists and bands in terms of inspiration, what are some of the like biggest, most notable mentions in terms of musical inspiration? You mentioned some of the stuff in your teenage years. I don't know if you still consider that to be as inspirational, but yeah, what are some of the main artists or bands or composers who inspire you the most?
Yeah, I'm very sorry because I don't remember all the names of the stuff I listen.
I have the same issue. So it's not a.
Yes.
If someone asked me,
Yeah,
I would be the worst person to answer. But so
yeah,
don't worry about it. But
yeah. It's so, and most of the artists maybe they are not so well known. So I can share you some, yeah, some
sure,
yeah,
yeah,
some influence. But yeah, so in my teenage, yeah, it was like the most important was Rage Against the Machine, Korn, Sepultura. Yeah, for the hardcore music, yeah, it was like very those three are very important. In electronic music, it was like Aphex Twin, Plaid. I think, and after that, Amon Tobin. At that time, I was listening also to a lot of jazz music, like Michel Portal, a French jazzman. I assume you don't know them very well, but it's like very well-known clarinetist, Michel Portal, Louis Clavis. It's like a French jazzman. And after that, I discover traditional African music, which is very important to me. Kora players like Balake Sissoko. It's a Kora African harp player, very beautiful. Also, blues from the desert, like I love African music. In fact,
what is it about that speaks to you so much?
I think because my mother were raised in North Africa. I don't know. She never at home. We never listened to music. My parents were not so listen to anything, but I think my mother comes from Morocco and from Algeria, and I have those roots. And when I listen to this kind of classical Malian music, or maybe north of Africa music, it makes me something. I think it's maybe it comes from my mom, but I don't know. And also for example, for Humankind, my main reference was Jordi Savall. Is like it's Viola da Gamba player.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and this guy is amazing. It's like doing all the music from the I think medieval to Renaissance music, and he has a lot of knowledge about also Turkish music, all the Middle East music. So I love Middle East music. I love classical Arabic music. I listen a lot of that stuff. Because it's like the orchestration are fantastic. And for example, Sami Yusuf is a oud. No, he's a singer. And there is a live on YouTube. It's totally amazing with choir, and it's like amazing. I listen also to pop music artists like Björk. Björk was at in the early in the early 2000. It was like my favorite artist was Björk. Lot of female singers mostly in English. I don't really like French music with singer who sings in French because it's like I don't like it because I cannot concentrate myself on when you have the in English. It's much more easy to me to listen, except for hip hop. Yeah. And in video game music also there are tons of composer I love. I have to find the name of the. I have to open my Spotify playlist to tell you the name of all the stuff I listen to, but because I don't remember most of them. But yeah, my in general, I love pop music and also classical Arabic music, classical African stuff, and electronic music also. Yeah, lots of electronic music.
Yeah. When I was listening to your work, there were some not only melodies that reminded me of this band, but also some of the sound textures. So I was wondering if you knew of a band called Mew, MEW.
No.
Okay, I think they're from Denmark,
Mm.
but they have so basically the singer has a kind of a high pitched voice, sort of not quite. I guess it's kind of sort of half falsetto, I guess, but um, they have a lot of melodies that kind of reminded me of some of your work. So I wondered whether that was an inspiration, but if not, then maybe you might find it interesting.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah, I am on Spotify, and I have a listen. But it's funny because one of my favorite group is a Danish group. It's called Efterklang.
yeah, yeah,
I love Efterklang. I saw them 2 times on stage. It was like yeah, fantastic.
nice. That's
And
a name I haven't heard in a long time.
yeah,
I used to back in high school. I used to listen to them more.
yeah, and also my main influence also I don't speak about this, but it's post rock stuff. And when I was younger, I used to listen a lot of post rock music, like Tortoise, Godspeed You, Black Emperor, Do Make Sexing, all the. There is a Canadian editor who's called Constellation, and they make some very experimental and post rock stuff. It's like yeah, I love because it's cinematic. You know, it's cinematic music, very instrumental music. And for example, in Tortoise, you have 2 drummers, marimba, and guitar, bass, and synthesizer. It's like wow, incredible.
Yeah, unique configuration.
Yeah.
Obviously you work in the same space or the same field, and I was also at times hearing kind of similarities between your work and I think it's Darren Korb who's done work for the Transistor and is it Hades and games like that. There was obviously uh, obviously some of the instrumentation is kind of similar in the your newest album, but even beyond just the instrumentation, there I think there are some you can definitely hear the band influence coming in your work, and I think it's kind of similar. I haven't spoken with Darren, but clearly has that kind of a band background as well in the music, and kind of using similar similar kind of stuff, and also this was maybe a bit rare, but every once in a while I could hear a bit of like similarities to Danny Baranovsky's music. Also, some of the kind of more jumpier stuff kind of reminded me of his stuff. So, do you listen to their work yourself, or are you connected to them or
Yeah,
anything like that?
yeah, I know Darren Knorr music. Yeah, I played a little bit at Transistor, and yeah, the band approach. It was for Endless Dungeon. It was because the designers want to have a band in the game. So and it's there is a band playing in the saloon. So we have to find a proper band to do this. So we make one with Liraline, and also in the rest of the game we have the same approach to music. It's not like the other production, which are more orchestral or more electronic. But yes, for this one, it's more like a band approach. Yes.
Cool. Talking about your writing process or composition process, is there like a typical way you start writing music, or do you have multiple ways in which you start writing?
Yeah, I have multiple ways, I think, but as I said before, I have to play the music. I don't have it in my mind. So it depends on the production. When I am on electronic soundtrack, I just spend a lot of time to program my own sounds on synthesizers, and sometimes I program that sound and saying to myself, "Wow, this is," and playing with this, and this is the start of a new track. And very often is like that. I program my sound, searching in libraries for a good sound, playing a little bit, and this is a start. Very often is for electronic music. It's most of time is with synthesizer. For orchestral music, it's sometimes I play the harp. I found some idea on the harp, then I play it on the keyboards, and small ostinato, a small piece of repetitive stuff, and try to make it looping, and try to orchestrate it. And and for Endless Dungeon, it was a little bit maybe different, because I found some idea on the guitar. I'm not a guitar player, but I can just doing some very simple stuff. So I try to make some to play some stuff on guitar, and so in my composition process, I think I very quickly I make the thing orchestrated very, very fast. For example, I have an ostinato. It's like 8 or 60 bars, and playing in loop. And yeah, I think this ostinato is good. It's a good idea. And then at the very beginning, I put all the different layer in it, the bass, all the texture with synthesizer, and it helps me a lot to find the universe of the track. The sound I want for the track, and it's very short. It's like maybe 20 seconds, but fully orchestrated. And when I have that, and I'm happy with the sound, happy with the different kind of instrument I use. Maybe use a clarinet. No, it's not a clarinet. It's a trumpet. Oh no, not a trumpet. Yeah, I change the instrument. I try to find my right orchestration, right synthesizer, and other stuffs. And then I made the big structure of the track, which is the most difficult part for me, because I'm very. It's more easy to me to orchestrate the things, to make the layers, to find the right sound, the synthesizer sound, to make sound design. For me, it's I enjoy a lot doing this. So, for example, working with Leraline was very enjoyable for me because she composed the track, send it to me, and then I'm doing the synthesizer stuff, mixing and all that. So it's much more easy to do the orchestral work, and doing the structure of the track is much more complicated because you have to put your ID in the right place. So you have to cut it and replace and try stuff, and making the stuff grown, and have some waves in it. So it's my way of working, but sometimes it can be a bit different also. It's sometimes I invite a musician, like a percussionist, and we have a recording session, and he plays freely. We improvisation. We play together, and then I recording his part, and from his recording I made a new track, and I tend to have more and more collaboration with other musicians, because I think I have done so many tracks for Amplitude, so now I want to work with other people. It's important to for the creativity, because otherwise I'm making always the same track for 20 years now. So it's basically, when I did for Amplitude, when I listen to my students' album, it's the same music, same chord progression, same orchestration. It just now it's more it's more produced. It's more more expensive. But when I listen to my old composition, I see, yes, I did it when I was 19.
Yeah, kind of transitioning into a new era of inspiration, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting what you said about the music reminding you of the stuff you did earlier or when you were younger, because often it seems to be the case that a lot of creatives, well, I should speak about musicians because this is what I have the most experience in, but tends to be the case that musicians sort of have this kind of reserve that they build up during their childhood or sort of early life, and then they pull inspiration from that. They write music maybe in their early adulthood, and then a lot of people seem to kind of hit a wall, or they sort of run out of that reserve of inspiration, and then they either stop writing music or they keep writing the same music over and over again. Is that like have you noticed that? Have you made that as an observation yourself, and either about yourself or someone else? And well, I guess I just love to hear your thoughts on that in general.
Yeah. For myself, I think I have clearly some limitations about harmony, about composition, because I didn't learn all the aspects, and so and also the fact that I was a harp player, it tends to limit myself with modulations, because modulations with the harp is you have to play with the pedals, you know, and also playing with the Celtic harp you have a one scale, and changing scale for me it's very it's not my way of playing music. But I admire the people, composer who doing lots of modulation stuff and lots of emotional modulations and all that stuff. But I cannot do it. So it's my limitations. It creates a style, a musical style, because of my limitations. So I try to balance these compositional limitations with the richness of sound design and orchestration. So this is my way of making my music. I think it's okay. I use only one scale in a track. It's okay, but I have to work on the orchestration style and on synthesizer textures to make it good. So I think it's like you call it modal music. It's in one mode. So I try to modulate. So I try to express myself a little bit differently sometimes, but it's kind of difficult. And I have this kind of a creative reserve. Yes, with my childhood and things I made before. And right now, I think I'm a bit as I said before, I am looking for collaborations, working with other composers. We're looking with working with for example, with a singer, with a drummer, and it's my way of reinvent myself and to propose something different, because I think I am not capable of learning. It's my kind of I think I'm happy with my way of making music, but sometimes I get tired of making always the same thing. It's I don't know how many tracks I produce, but it's maybe 300 or like something like this. So it's a fact. It's a fact that I get tired with composition process. So I have to. It's like when you run for a long time, you have to run slower and to keep your body to run for a long time. And composition, I think you can make the parallel between having a long run, you know. You don't making a track, you don't have to put all your personality in this, and all your you have to keep stuff for you, and just putting the right amount of passion, right amount of time, right amount of collaboration, and to make the things go in the for a long-term career, I think. I have a friend who is doing very good music, and I think is very passionate about this, and I think it can ruin your personal life. if you are too much in your stuff, too much in production, too much in your passion, I think, yeah, you can, yeah, you can have a kind of burnout. You can have a kind of depression because you are too much in your work process. So for me, it's important to have working hours, to have time with kids, to have time to do other stuff like Lego, like playing football or anything else. But yeah, I think it's important to be proud of what you have done, and also to be always complaining about yourself. Yes, no, it's not good enough. I have to do better a little bit, like this. You have to put yourself over and over, but yeah, keeping the right amount of be proud and pushing yourself.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a difficult balance to find because certainly, probably most creatives, but a lot of musicians certainly tend to be we tend to be quite extreme people. So there are very high highs and then low lows, and oftentimes it is the case that we work super hard and intensively on something, but obviously it's not sustainable forever, and then you come crashing down, and then it's very hard to get back into doing the creative work. And this is at the very heart of why I want to do this podcast, because it's oftentimes it's not the creative stuff that prevents a creative person from succeeding in building a career, but it's really the mental stuff, and it's everything else in life, organizing your life, managing your life. Um, was when you talked about the life balance, the balance between music and then everything else, was that something that was always natural to you? Was it easy for you, or did you get help or mentorship regarding that, or did you have to find it out or figure it out yourself through just application?
Mm. I think this was it's kind of natural for me. When I was younger, as a lot of young people, I tend to work all the night, sleeping in the studio, yeah, spending hours to edit a single drum part. Yeah, because the drummer was not so good, so you have to push every single note and lots of editing because all the musicians were not perfect, and so spending lot of time to edit. So yeah, I when I was younger, I spent nights and overnights, overtime to do this. And when my first album were released, it was like in 2001. I spent so much time in this first album, and I was sure it will be successful. I'm gonna be a star. I'm gonna be, yeah. We have some articles on pop rock magazines, and yeah, it's like it's the beginning of my career. And I was thinking like this, and obviously it was not. It didn't happen. So I said to myself, "Oh, okay, it's not that bad. I made this. I'm proud of this, but I spent too much time on this project. So now I'm going to hire better musicians, work only with good musicians, not recording a drummer who is not playing so good, So the second album was with only good musicians, so I spent way less time to do the editing, and the result was better, and so on. So yeah, I tried to manage my time to work with good people and not spending too much time, even for myself. When I playing, I'm not saying that it's people's fault, but it's like spending less time on production side and more time on other aspect of life. Yeah, obviously having a girlfriend is also important because you have to spend time doing family stuff, or having time with your girlfriend, and so putting the production in a way that it's put in the right place, and also which was very important is to work in the industry. In the industry, your working day are from 9 to 6, and we did that for 7 years. It's like you made some design, and if you work faster, you can go home earlier. So I tend to work very fast and have finished earlier, and so can go for a restaurant or something like this, or doing some sport, and now with having kids, it's a step further. It's like I want to spend time with my kids, so now I am 2 times a week. I quit at 3 p.m. So I don't want to work that much. So yes, I spending less time in my work and more time with my family, which is it's a personal choice, because I can accept several contracts and working late at night and doing 3 albums per year, and but I didn't choose this way of living, because I think it's at the end of my life. I think I will be proud of what I've done. I produce music, but I think it's more important that my kids are happy with their father, and so yes, it's different now.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was definitely, uh, I can't say surprising, but it's a different thing to know something in theory than it is to actually live through it. But for me, if I get home late and I get to spend time less with my kid, I feel horrible. Like not out of guilt, but simply that I didn't get to be with them. Like if I don't get to be with him enough, something feels off. Like there's a balance missing, and it troubles me quite a lot. So, but yeah, I mean, it definitely pushes me to be more efficient and effective in my work, because I know that I need to leave the studio at this hour. So then you just have the time you have, and you have to make the most of it, because I know if I don't leave at this time, then I'm gonna feel bad about my personal relationships. But I can't say that was surprising to me, because that's what I hoped for or expected before we had the kid. But it's interesting to me nonetheless. When you're talking about creative blocks, you obviously mentioned now wanting to collaborate with other people as a source of new inspiration. But in terms of the kind of the smaller scale day-to-day stuff, do you do you, first of all, how often do you hit creative blocks, and how do you move past them at a sort of a day-to-day level? Do you have any techniques or mindsets that you use to get out of a creative rut?
Yeah, it happens quite often, but depends of the production. But yeah, sometimes I'm stuck. I'm stuck in a track. I think my way of the first thing is I never work on several tracks at the same time. I work exclusively on one time after one track, and I finish this one and I move to another track. I don't make some go and forth between several tracks. It's not possible. So this is the first thing. And so when the first listening is when you wake up in the morning, you take your coffee and you go to the studio and you warm up your setup, you turn off your loudspeakers, etc. And when you have the first listen to your track, you see all the defects, all the problems you'll see in the first in the morning. So the first listening session is very, very important, because your ears are quite they are not tired, they are very and in the morning I think I am more aware of all the problems. So my way of working is listening to my track and spot all the problems. This is a problem. There is a problem here, a problem here, a problem here, and sometimes I correct them on the fly. Just small details, like it's not the right synthesizer. Oh, this chord is a shitty chord. I put it away. Or this transition is weird. Why? So I think this is my way of working. And sometimes I get tired. I get tired of the looping repetitions, and it's a hard job to do the composition. You know this because it's like it's very mind consuming. And when you quit your job, you have your little music in your mind. It's like it's very difficult. This job is, I think it's a very enjoyable, but also very, very difficult for this. And when I start to have my mind blurred with repetitiveness, I quit. I go have a walk. I go to my home and I say myself, it will be better tomorrow. Just not trying to correct stuff. If I don't have the mindset to do this, let's doing another job. But when I'm tired and and when I'm stuck in a track, I can pause it and doing a technical job, like mixing other stuff, like cleaning my studio, like making a new sound of synthesizer, like playing harp, like playing another instrument, making something different. And then I come back to the problem and I have a better mindset to resolve it. That's the way I think. Putting the stuff apart and doing another kind of job, not a composition job, but for example, I have an assistant who works with me, So I go to see. His name is Alexandre. So I go see Alexandre, have a coffee with Alexandre, and talking about his job and if he has some difficulties, and it helps me to
get perspective.
Yes.
Nice. When it comes to your setup, I obviously see some of your workspace here. You have a bunch of analog synths and a harp, but what is your setup like otherwise? Is it sort of typical, like a modern composer?
Okay, my setup. I made this setup for. It took me a long time to have all this stuff, more than 10 years. So I have a lot of stuff. But I think 19% of what I'm doing you can do with plugins. But I love to have machines.
Hardware.
Yeah, it's my bad, but I think it's like I don't know. Really, I don't know. It's like toys. It's like Lego. It's like well, but it's been now I have no room anymore. I have all my room. I full of analog stuff, so I cannot add anything. So I'm done. My studio is finished, and it's been 1 year that I didn't buy anything. So I assume that the gear, the temptation to add some gear.
Gear lust.
Yeah, gear lust. Yeah, it's over for me because I mean I will never change my loudspeaker. They are fine until the rest of my life, and all the stuff I bought, it's like very high-end stuff, so I don't have to buy another stuff. Sometimes.
What speakers do you have now?
I have. I can show you. I make a little bit this. Okay, this is my desk. So I have a complete keyboard for native instruments. The loudspeakers are the Quested loudspeakers. And I have plenty of synthesizer, as you see. So my configuration is like I work on PC. I have a MADI soundboard with 64 in and out, and I have a patch bay with all my synthesizer. So in fact, my will is to not to have to plug and unplug something when I work. I don't want to have patching stuff, and so all is playable instantly. So when I put on a synthesizer, I can play on it right away, and it can be recorded right away. So I have, in this case of configuration, you have to have a lot of inputs on your soundboard. So this is why I use a MADI soundboard. So I have all my synthesizer plugged right in the soundboard. And I also have analog processors for mastering, and analog reverbs also. I am lucky enough to have this 224 reverberation, which it's heavy use on Endless Space soundtrack, because it's a reverb from Blade Runner. From Blade Runner movie from 1978, I think, this reverb, and this sounds unbelievable. And it's a multi-channel reverberation. And for example, this one has a lot of hiss. When I put it on, it's like shh.
Yeah.
But the sound is yeah. I try the plugins, emulation plugins of this, but it's not the same at all. So this is a kind of a secret weapon. And also I have a Bricasti reverb. I love reverberation. I work a lot with reverberations and guitar pedals also. Strymon guitar pedals, and so I have a mix blend between the old analog synthesizer and the modern digital synthesizer. And right now I'm covered for any style, any type of sound. I can have it on hardware synthesizer. So the flight, the other side of this kind of configuration is that I don't use any plugins, only just mixing plugs. Because I spent a lot of time configuring my studio, and I spend most of time programming the synth. And I don't want to try 100 plugins, 100 stuff. But I know plugins are very good. I know for example, Serum, lots of synthesizers which are very, very, very good. And sometimes I use native instruments, lots of native instruments stuff. But with all these synthesizer, I can have all the different colors, and sometimes there is a synthesizer who can do only 2 sounds, but they are doing so well that I cannot replace it by another stuff. So I keep sometimes one machine for a very small amount of sound. And this is why all my productions sound the same, and also very analog, because of for example, the Juno 60. Juno 60, I use only for maybe 2 or 3 sounds. It's like the bells. Bells are fantastic, and so and strings also. But each synthesizer has very narrow sweet spot. And so it's I spend a lot of time trying a lot of synthesizer, and finally come to this setup. And yes, I'm very happy with this, but it can take a lot of time to manage the sound banks, all the presets. It's like you have to have. It must be very. I spend a lot of time classify all the sounds, and if I want a bell, for example, I don't want to scroll around about 200 presets of whatever. I just want to have a bell bank, and I want a bell. I click on the bank and I scroll, and there are only bells, and I choose my bell, and it's okay. And it took me a lot of time to doing the sorting the different presets.
Yeah, nice. If you were to, obviously you now have a ton of top tier equipment, and also you've been doing this for a long time. If you were to give advice to a new composer, or not necessarily up and coming, someone who's getting into this stuff now and is wondering how they should use their money, what kind of advice would you give to them? Obviously, it would probably depend on the specifics of their situation, but if you were to uh, generalize like the broad strokes, the bigger themes of how to spend your money, what kind of advice would you give?
Yeah, I think it's very basic thoughts, but yeah, you have to have a good computer, good soundboard, and good speakers. It's the basics. But I assume that everybody wants to doing a composition job has to buy this very early in their career, because they have to it's very basic stuff, or at least a good headphones. And after that, my advice is it's not to spend money you don't earn by your job. For example, now I'm working with a junior composer. So he's starting to work with me on other productions, and he's a very good musician, but he's a beginner in audio producing and music producing. And he asked me the same question as yours, because he wants to buy new instruments, and I said to him, for you, with your first production, you can buy let's say you can have 10% of what your incomes. You can spend maybe 10% on whatever you want, a plugin, something you want, a synthesizer, something you need for your production, and you can spend a little amount, and each production you can have a small amount of your production in your studio. So I did it for 10 years. So each year I spend 2 or 3 thousand euros on equipment and or repairing stuff, because having all those hardware stuff, it's very expensive to retain in a good shape. You have to having to repair it sometimes, and sometimes you can do it by yourself, but sometimes you have to find someone who you can handle this. And it depends on the production, because for example with Humankind, when I start working on Humankind, I directly I bought some Greek instruments, because I want to have Greek harps for the composition process. So at the very beginning, I say, oh, I want that for this game. So in the beginning of the production, sometimes I buy a specific instrument or a specific plugin or specific sound bank, and my advice is just not to have too much stuff that you cannot handle, and you spend too much time trying new plugins, trying new instruments, because it's time you don't spend making music. So for example, for orchestral instrument, I use the Vienna Symphonic Library, and I stick to this one. I know it's not perfect. I know it's a very good library, but there are plenty of orchestral library everywhere. You can have a Spitfire. You can have more than I think there is maybe a 50 sound strings library you can buy. But the point is, when you buy a library, you have to learn how to use it, and it takes a lot of time. So, for example, it's now 10 years. I stick with Vienna Symphonic Library, and same with your DAW. I stick with Nuendo. I know that there is a better DAW. Pro Tools is good. Yeah. But the time you spend learning a new DAW, it's like it takes too much time. So I prefer working with Nuendo or Cubase, and for the composition, for the recording, when you record an orchestra, it's always on Pro Tools. So I have to convert to Pro Tools once there is an orchestral session, a recording session. But I don't want to work on Pro Tools in everyday life. So I stick on my configuration. So you have yes, sometimes it's more convenient, but you have also some difficulties to stick. Yeah, I think that's all for this.
Yeah. So you mix all of your own music, is that correct?
Depends. I work with a sound engineer. We have a very big studio with a big SSL console with tons of hardware, and I like to mix over there, but it's the sessions are so complicated. I mean, just the time to put all the tracks on the SSL, it's like half a day per track. So mixing over there is very expensive, very long, and the result is good, but I achieved most of the same result in my studio. But working with a sound engineer is very it's very nice. It's difficult too, because you have to accept another way of thinking your mix and your production. And for me, it's very difficult because when I compose, I try to make the sound good from the very beginning. So from the very beginning, I add reverbs, I add all the bells and whistles to make it sound like a finished track. And then I use virtual instruments like strings, orchestra, brass, and so I make the mock-up, send it to the studio, and this mock-up with orchestral library, it's put in the game during the production, and it's a premix, and also there is interactive music. For example, at this time I'm working on battle tracks. So battle tracks are like interactive music. So you have to make loops, layer. All the loops can going from one together. There is different endings. And if I have to mix it in a big studio, it will be impossible. very expensive and took a lot of time. So, for example, for Endless Dungeon, all the mix you hear in the game are from me, from my studio. But the original soundtrack you hear on Spotify, it has been mixed on a big studio. So now I'm doing this way. For the game, in game, I mix all the stuff because you have to do layers. You have to do plenty of technical stuff. And for the original soundtrack on the social media, on the internet, and on Spotify, if I have the money, I mixed in a big studio.
Yeah. Do you have like what is your mixing process overall like? Do you have some kind of a template that you use? You obviously had a few key pieces of hardware equipment there, but is how much of it is in the box with plugins? And yeah, I mean, in terms of your mixing process, and also, do you start mixing things as you compose already? Is it sort of baked into that process?
Yeah, I have composition templates. So I have all the orchestra. I have a Vienna bank library, which is connected to Cubase, and so I have all the orchestral templates with all the instruments. And beneath that, I have all the synthesizer. So I have all my templates is quite the same for every production. So it's for composition. And then I have my stem buses. And on my stem buses, I have some plugins like SSL stuff, like equalization, compressors. And sometimes I use hardware on a very specific bus, like a drum bus, like a vocal bus. Like I have an analog chain with equalization and compression. But I use it very sparsely, not all the time, just for specific reasons. And I have a mastering chain. So on the master bus, I have this kind of Varimu compressor and analog tube equalization. And so this one opens the mix very. It's more wide and more. The result is very amazing because it's with tube, and you know there is a small difference in signal between tubes, so the stereo tends to be larger and much more space in the sound. For the reverberation, it's all hardware reverberation with I have Brick-ST and 2 lexicons, and multi-channel reverberation, because for the game I mix in 5.1. So yes, I use a multi-channel reverberation, and for mixing from analyzer, I use a flux analyzer on a separate computer, so I can have a visualization of my audio mix, and with vector scope, with all the frequency analyzer. So I can see if I'm not mixing the high too much, or and I have also a very handful plugin which is called tone balance control from Isotope, and this one is very important. I put it on at the very end of the mastering process, and it helps me to have the same frequency range on over my track. So I use a template, and with this plugin I can be sure that one tune is not too high or too low, or frequency is a correct balance between all the frequency for all my tracks, so I can have all tracks sounds the same. It's a very handful plugin, this one.
Yeah. Sort of briefly touching on like hard times in terms of your career, and you can speak about this in as much detail or general approach as you want, but was there like a more difficult time somewhere in there, like a darker period when did you ever feel like quitting on music or quitting on creativity ever, for whatever reason, whatever the motivation might have been, and if you did, and obviously you haven't quit, so what allowed you to move past that and yeah, move past those negative thoughts?
I think I never had a very negative feeling about myself. I'm not. I am not in the. I am not depressive. You know, it's not my personality. I have some very hard time with my health when I was young. So I must say that the rest is not so important. You mean when you suffer a lot, you understand that for example, I enjoy doing music. It's my life and it's my passion, but I know this is not all my life. So I think I am lucky enough to have this job with Amplitude, because I am not stressed to not have enough money to in my life, not to I'm quite successful, so I'm very happy with this. But I don't want to be more successful. I don't want to be a big composer or something like this. I prefer to let the. For example, I have other propositions from other studios, and so if I accept all the job, I can be overwhelmed and I have no life. So now when I have another proposition, I tell to the guy, no, I will work with you as a music producer, and there is another composer who is doing the job. We have a collaboration with him, so we can blend our knowledge, our way to mix our music together and doing this job. But I'm not going to do all by myself. So now I'm telling people I'm working with, I am not alone. We are a team. I have an assistant. I have other people. So if I get ill, if I don't want to work for 2 months, if I have some work to do in my kitchen with kids or with anything else, it's okay. I have a team. They can handle this. So and also with video games, it's very important. I love working with video games because you have time. You have time to do your job. The video game production are very long. For example, Humankind, it takes 5 years to do the game. So all the music I did in 3 years. So I have 2 years doing another games like Endless Dungeon. So it's okay. I have time. I have the budgets are quite okay. So I can record real musicians. So everything is fine, and I have no stress at all about my way of working, and I can have some difficulty with myself, struggling with this orchestration stuff, because I'm doing always the same chords. Oh, I'm so bad. Oh, it's again a C minor. No, are you kidding? A C minor? You've done this 10 times or 20 times before. You are not going to do a C minor here, but I did. It's okay. So yeah, and for myself, I'm not too serious with myself. You know, it's like a game. Working with a video game, it's a game. Yeah, I have plenty of it's expensive Lego. It's just expensive Lego. So yeah, I'm like a child enjoying myself, and I'm so lucky to have this, to work in such a manner. I am very grateful for all the people I'm working with. I'm very grateful about my life, about my family, about. So yeah, right now I'm very happy. I cannot say no less. No, yeah, and I had difficulties, but not so much that can put me to depression, and yeah, so I think I'm lucky.
Yeah. No, that sounds amazing, and that's often is the case that, you know, when you go through something difficult, obviously sometimes, unfortunately, it can break people, or feel like it can break people, but also, like, it seems like you got a lot of perspective and gratitude from that health experience, which ultimately, health puts everything in perspective. It's that without it, you don't have anything else. So um, I think you're a great example of coming out of it in with the best possible lessons learned. At least it seems like that. But really quickly touching on the live music aspect. I saw that you have at least done some of those. Is it something that you are continuously active with? And what do you get out of live performances versus, you know, writing music in a dark studio by yourself? What is the difference between composing music and performing live music for you?
um, yeah, playing music on stage, it's more difficult for me. It's very enjoyable, but also I always find it it's not perfect. You know, it's because in studio everything is controlled. You are on the click. The tempo is always the same. When you play on stage, it's always moving. It's like you can make mistakes. People are staring at you. It's like it's very, very different. I did a lot of stage when I didn't work as a composer. When I work on the animation movies, I have that rock band called Maobi. We made 2 albums. It's on my Spotify page, and you can hear the singer voice in Endless Space soundtrack. It's called Gary, and he's a pop rock British singer. And so I had this rock band for 8 years, I think, and we made quite several concerts in small venues, not, but we never get successful about this. And for myself, I never get successful with live music. And as a harpist, doing live music is so much difficult because you have to put the harp in a big car. holding the harp. It's very heavy. You have to put it on the stage. Yeah, it's not like playing a guitar. Yeah, guitar is very easy. You come to on stage, you plug, you play, you quit. With the harp, it's like you spend lots of energy doing this. So
I've heard that the harp gets out of tune really easily, and it's difficult to get back in tune. Is that true?
Not very true. No.
Oh.
It's it depends of the kind of harp, but yeah, sometimes with the moist, it can be slow. Yeah, a little bit, but it's not. But sometimes the strings. The strings get out, the strings breaks, so you have to change the strings. So sometimes you have to do this. No, it's not. The main problem is when you play harp on stage after the gig, you have to put it back in the car and put it back in your house at 2 a.m. and it's like it's difficult. So I did it for many years with my rock band, but I never get satisfied with my way of playing live music, and I never get successful. So when I start to work with Amplitude, I kept this band for a while, and then I have my first kid, and then I quit the band, and I stopped playing on stage. My last professional gig was in 2019, I think. It's like 4 years ago, before COVID. And so I didn't get back on stage for 4 years, and now I miss it a bit. I miss it a bit because my children are older, so it's much easy as a family. It's I have more time for playing harp at home. And so I have a new project right now, is to make a show for children's with my wife. My wife is doing the live painting on stage, and also she tells a story for the kids. And I'm playing the harp, and there is a percussionist, and we have we have kind of a residency at the end of the year, and we start to build this project. So slowly I came back to live music. And the problem with live music is also that when you have a set, you have many rehearsals to play it right, to play it very well on stage. You play on stage, okay, one time, and the next time you play it, it's maybe 6 months later. So in 6 months you forget all you. So when you start to play on stage, you have to play every week, every day. You have to play your gig, not to forget about it. And so this is a big. I think it's difficult to do this because you have to play the same thing over and over and over and over in order not to forget. And finding places to play is very difficult because it's like there was so many bands, so many people wants to play on stage. So finding the right people to ask to have gig and having money just to be paid is extremely difficult. So I'm very happy to have some money with video games music, because having money with live music is so difficult.
Yeah. I think importantly, we should probably touch on how your collaboration with Amplitude came to be, just to give people an idea of how these kind of connections can be formed, and how these collaborations actually happen in reality. So could you shortly, touch on how you made that connection?
So it was in 2012. I was in Paris. I working in animation movies. I was half-time in animation and half-time in with my band, and also half-time with video game music, small games. And there is I work for a studio which is specialized in gaming audio, called G4F. It's a French company in Angoulême, and so I'm working with them, and their job was to put sound designer guys in small studios, because in video game studios you don't need a full-time audio guy. In the beginning of the studio, you don't have to pay someone to do the sound. So it's like they hire another company, and this company send an audio guy in the studio. So it's happened to me. So in Amplitude, I start as an audio director, but the project was very small. We had at that time we were only 2 people, 2 audio guys. So I work with a former student of me. I said to him, "Hey, there is a new job in this studio. Come with me. We are going to do the job." And at the very beginning, I said to Amplitude that I don't want to do the technical stuff, like Wise or Fmod, all the integration stuff. I don't want to put my hands on the code, and I am not. I am not. I don't want to do the technical job with Unity and all that. So I said to them, I'm an artistic director for sound design. So I make endless space weapons, all the shots, the explosions. So I make all the sound design for this. And Benjamin was doing the integration job. And 1 or 2 months later, I asked them, "Hey, do you have a composer?" They said no, and so I tried to make music for the game. And I make a very simple piece of music with my brand new analog synth. Just I have picked on eBay the month before. Yeah, I tried the new analog synth, and I send the music to them, and they like it. So I made all the soundtrack for Endless Space, and I have no idea how to deal with the studio, how to ask for artistic direction. I make the thing like I want. I never ask for the artistic direction or something like that. And I made the music, and I have no idea if they don't like or not, because they were in the full process of doing their game, and I think they like the music, but they don't know how to tell me about this or something like this. And we were beginners at that time. Even Benjamin was he just go out of school, and we didn't know how to implement sound in the game. The game was crashing because of the sound. We have tons of technical problems, and it was it was a bit scary also. And also, I was surprised that they ask for a French composer, because in French we have the SASM, and it's kind of for the rights it's kind of difficult. And the guy from Amplitude are from Ubisoft, so I said that I knew that Ubisoft isn't going to hire a French composer, because they only work with an American composer because of rights management. So I was surprised that they asked me to do the job. And when the game was released maybe it was in June, and I was in holiday far away from home. I have no internet for 3 weeks, no mail. And when I come back from my holidays, I received tons of emails, of comments on YouTube. Congratulations, this is the best soundtrack. Your soundtrack is amazing. Wow, 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 wow. And I was so surprised, because I never had success in music ever. So I was like, oh, okay, people are happy with my music. Cool. But I did that soundtrack very in a simple manner, just like with not with my brain, just like doing very simple. And I was very surprised by the success of it at that time. And after that, we made Endless Space 2, Dungeon of the Endless, Endless Legend, and step after step, we grew up in the production process, production budget, and a higher orchestra, having more synthesizer, and getting the thing bigger, and to reach until the pinnacle, the upper level. It's like Humankind. It was Humankind. It was the over the top thing with a full orchestra, with 12 hours of music. It's like a big production, and yes, it's like further little by little we increase the amount of quality and production level.
Yeah. Touching on the collaboration part, I mean, in the past as well as looking into the future, are there like a set of qualities or a single sort of most important quality that you're looking for in terms of the people who you collaborate with? Is there something there that comes to mind?
Okay. The first thing is I want them to be honest with their time schedule, because when I hire a musician is quite talented, and most of times they are very busy. And sometimes people said to me, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm doing this job. I'm okay. Yes, I'm doing this job," and they never did it. And so this is very important to me. I prefer people say me, "No, I have no time to do this, but I can help you in this way, in this way, in this way." Then people who say me, "Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm going to do the job." Yeah, and I waiting for 6 months, and they never did it. So it's now I'm very doubtful about professional composers, because they are very busy. So I prefer working with younger people, or people who have less experience, but I know they are very passionate about it, and so they are doing all their best to do the job. Because when I work with a very professional composer, it's like it's too difficult. They have too many production at the same time, and so yeah. So to be honest with the time you spend with the project and your personal time, it's the first thing. And after that, it's just a matter of good feeling with the
Chemistry.
chemistry. Yeah, right. So I call them on the phone, and for example with Humankind, I work with maybe 100 people. So I call for example a Chinese musician. I want you to play the gujang, and we have a sharing with the instrument. How do you play it? And we spend a lot of time on phone. Talking with each other. What's your way of recording? Do you have experience in recording? Do you have do you want me to help you to find a place to sleep for the session or something? Very simple stuff, but it's like you have to have a good human quality to because we are going to spend very little time together. Because for example I spend maybe 1 year of composing and producing everything, and for only 2 days of recording. So these 2 days are so important that people are very concentrate, are very everything has to be perfect on the recording side. So when you hire a musician, they have to be very focused on their stuff, and most of time it's okay. I had some problem with some musicians, but it was very small amount of them. Just most of time it's very professional.
Nice. Going into the second last question, and this is kind of a hit or miss because sometimes people have varying degrees of, I guess, ideas about or preparation in terms of defining words. But I always ask, what is your definition of an artist?
I think artists are free persons. I think it's the freedom is important because to be a good artist is a matter of feeling you feeling you free of doing what you like. For example, my wife is an artist too, and she quit her job just to make a book, but she's not sure that she's going to sell her book, but she wants to do this book. So she has the capacity. She have she's free to do this and to claim to the world that I'm doing this, and I'm show you and also it's a capacity to present it to the world in a good way, not with ego, but with something like it's like a gift. it's a gift for people. Hey, I'm doing this. Please have a listen. Please have a look. And it's like a generosity, and also sometimes it can be disturbing to people sometimes, because you are going in a way that don't. It can be challenging for people to receive the art you made. So yes, freedom and generosity, I think.
Very cool. Last question, and this is something I'm still trying, so we'll see how how good it turns out. But this doesn't have to be music or creativity related. Could be anything you want. But if you could instantaneously send a message to everyone's smartphone in the entire world right now, and it would pop up on their, the main screen, and they can't open the phone without having a look at it, what would you send?
Hey, I made the new album.
I've been waiting for somebody use that, because it would be a very good promotional tool.
Yeah.
Beyond that, if it was
just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a very for some ethical and political reason, I'm also I have a strong ecological way of thinking and living, and I have no smartphone. In fact, I have old dumb phone. I have no internet on my phone, and it's very hard because now everything has to be on a phone. So maybe I send a message to all the world saying, shut down your phone and have a look around you. Because I think technology is with children it's a very big issue with the screens, and so just put off your phone, just saying hello to people around you, maybe please have a look at the sky, please listen to the noise of the city. I don't know. Maybe. I think people are too much connected and too much on their phone, and so. But it's easy for me to say this because I have 5 computers, so I'm always on a computer. So it's easy for me not to have a smartphone. So I'm not going to say that it's a evil tool and not going to use anymore or something like that. But I think we need more simplicity, more analog stuff. I think.
More analog hardware. That's the lesson.
Yeah, more heart, more reaching people directly, shaking hands, make some kisses, and not to forget that we have a small amount on Earth, and spending too much time on devices it's like maybe it's not so good. I don't know. It's good, but it's not so good.
Yeah, well, they're tools, and
yeah,
we are the ones who bring the behavior on the platform. Obviously, there are many ways in which they can be designed to, affect your behavior, but ultimately, at least I like to focus on the things that we can do and focus on the responsibility that we as individuals have. But yeah, I think that's a powerful idea, powerful message.
Mm.
But at this point, we've hit the 3-hour mark, so I wanna thank you for your time.
Yeah, I didn't expect that I will get for 3 hours, no, but it was really, really interesting. And thank you, Markus. Yes, it's very, very nice.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad glad you found it to be all right. So, but there's a bunch of really good stuff here, and I'm sure many people will find it useful. So, thanks for taking the time to do this, and I hope to hear some cool new music from you soon. I know we didn't talk about any future projects, but hopefully soon enough there's going to be something to listen to.
Yeah. I'm releasing a new small album with a collaboration with a schoolmate. When we were students, we made some albums, as I said before, and 20 years after, I'm going a video game soundtrack with one of the musicians, pianist. He playing the Fender Rhodes, and we made 7 tracks for a very small game, and it will be released 1st of February, and it's very, very cool stuff.
Nice, awesome. Well, can't wait to hear what that turns out. Does it have a name, or can you?
Yes, the game is called Neoproxima.
Cool. So that's going to be out in about a bit more than half a month. So people can keep an eye on that. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks again for taking the time.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure getting to know you a bit, and best of luck with everything in the future.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.